They'll likely feel these super typhoon force winds and have this driving rain, very heavy rain, of course, coming down, flooding these communities, just putting them totally underwater. Once we get into the end of the weekend, conditions obviously easing, and the cleanup will begin as the rain ends and the winds come to a stop. So where does it go next? Across the South China Sea, and then in the crosshairs here, the eastern shore of Vietnam, including this very populated area of Da Nang. So that's going to be within 48 hours. We'll still have a very strong typhoon in our hands at that point, with likely those winds up around 160 kilometers per hour. So this is going to maintain its intensity. It's amazing, Christy, that it was able to maintain its intensity even going over the Philippines. Although it did weaken somewhat, it is still equal to what we would call a Category 5 hurricane in the other part of the world. So just an incredible storm, and one that will go down in the history books, to be sure.
Yeah, indeed, Samantha Moore with the update once again. Thank you, Samantha. Now, earlier, my colleague Manita Rajpal, she spoke on the phone with Joe Curry. Now, he is with Catholic Relief Services. He is based on Bohol Island, which is about 1,200 kilometers southeast of Manila. Of course, Bohol Island is still recovering from a major earthquake last month.
In Bohol, we've had mainly wind and rain. Tropical storm force winds in the northern part. Our concern in Bohol is mainly in the earthquake-affected areas. There was a 7.1 magnitude earthquake in mid-October, which left about 350,000 people displaced. So we're looking to see what happens now. Families evacuated from emergency shelters in the last 2 days to take coverage in stronger shelters, but there are still tremors going on in Bohol occasionally, and there's still a lot of fear. So the typhoon is one on top of the other.
Yeah, because it's one on top of the other, as you're saying there, and of course with the earthquake as well. In terms of resources, does the region where you are right now, do you have what you need?
Well, humanitarian agencies are mobilizing. The challenge here is just the expansiveness of the storm. The storm is not slowing down. Leyte was hit this morning. We're sure to hear more information coming out from the eastern Visayas probably in the next couple of days, but communication is down too. As the storm crosses the country, it's impacting hundreds of thousands of people. If we can use last year's Super Typhoon Bofa as an example, over 70,000 houses destroyed and tens of thousands of people displaced. And this typhoon can impact a much more expansive area in central Philippines.
Being where you are right now, is there a sense that obviously this is because of the expansive and how ferocious this storm really is? It's hard to say that people could be used to storms, but because you've had so many storms over the year in itself and over the years, what kind of precautions do people actually take? Is there a sense that they're thinking, here is another one?
People know about typhoons in eastern Visayas. They know to evacuate. The government's been pushing a lot to make mass evacuations, and people generally go to schools, churches, other government buildings when they can. The question is, are they strong enough to hold up to 300-kilometer winds? Last year when we saw this in Mindanao, many families weren't able to evacuate because they lived in rural areas and they didn't have evacuation centers. And even those who had evacuation centers, they were destroyed because of the force of the typhoon. And if we see similar strength in this typhoon, it could be catastrophic.
Can you describe for us what you're seeing right now where you are?
Bohol was further south of the typhoon, so our rains was mainly heavy. We've had reports of flooding in the northern part, especially in the earthquake areas. We're still waiting to get more news, but in some of the earthquake-affected houses that were damaged, some of those are falling down now because of the winds.
All right, now I want to bring up the satellite images of Super Typhoon Haiyan once again for you. Let's bring it up. You can still see it is very large in size. It's doing a lot of damage as it continues to make its way through the central Philippines. And we'll continue to keep a close eye on the storm throughout this hour. Again, we still don't know the full extent of the damage. We'll bring you new information and video as it comes in. But let's get you caught up on the other stories that we're watching this hour, including a deal that may be imminent on Iran's